Okay, today we are going to have an interview with Erasmus Mundus scholarship, joint master scholarship winner with Evgeniy. Yes,
Hello, nice to meet you all, guys.
and we will record it and like others can also see.
Okay.
So first of all, maybe you will start by introducing yourself.
Yeah, I can start with it. I also prepared like a small presentation. Maybe I can share my screen and start with it.
So I should allow you, right?
Yeah, I think I will
Ah,
try
so,
with it.
okay. Now we can see your screen.
Yeah, okay. So, hello, everyone. My name is Evgeniy. I'm an Erasmus Mundus student. I'm studying in the senior program, and I will tell you a little bit about my experience. First of all, I want to say that I'm not so experienced yet. I'm in the first year of my master program, and during when before going to study in September, we August we had a very good event from Neo Uzbekistan group where experienced people who already graduated gave us a good knowledge, and there was different talks about cultural shock. So we had really good and interesting conversation. So it was a good kickoff event for us. And now I will try to say some of my experience which I had during the study. So a little bit about myself. My name is Evgeniy, and my situation is a little bit special because I also have a twin brother. His name is Valery, and we applied together to the same program and also got accepted together. So it's if, in this case, I want to say that if there are maybe brothers or sisters who also want to go together and don't, they also can try like us. So I'm 31 years old. I finished my bachelor degree in 2015 in petroleum engineering. And after that, I didn't have like intention to continue my studying. I was at first wanted to go to get some field experience, like practical knowledge. So I wanted to work, and because of that, I had like a quite long gap between studies, about 6 years. So I worked, but also during the work, I realized the importance of academic knowledge, and I also wanted to continue my education. So in 2021, I started the preparation for my master degree, and in 2022, I got accepted to the program. So at first, I was considering mostly Germany because I had friends who studied in Germany. So I applied first for that and several German universities. But then during after applications, I also started to look for other programs because I was interested in getting degree. So I applied also for Stipendium Hungaricum, and then I learned about the Erasmus Mundus program, and I applied for 3 programs of Erasmus Mundus as well. In advance, I want to say that I only got accepted to Erasmus Mundus programs, and for all others, I wasn't accepted. But it's also like an interesting experience for me because, and I want to tell you other students who are applying that it's not always that you can get accepted from the first time, but still you can do it and manage and get accepted. So for Erasmus Mundus, I applied for 3 programs. Since I had an engineering degree, I was considering mostly engineering programs. So you can see here is I applied for DENSYS, Centralized Smart Energy Systems, SINREM, Sustainable Innovative Natural Resource Management, and PROMIS, Sustainable Minerals and Metal Process Engineering. I'm currently studying at SynRem. This is program which I choose and was who accepted me. For example, for other programs, the first program which I applied, it was Densis. It was connected to renewable energies, and after application, short after application, I received the letters that they say that my previous education and background is not so relevant to the program. So it might be like this as well, because in my case, I had the petroleum engineering and it's not so related to renewable energy. So it might be like this, but for example, for the programs where I study now, it's a very broad program about natural resource management, and we study different things: metals, plastic, recycling, recovery of resources. And it might be not so relevant to degree which I had, but still it's kind of compatible. So it's possible to have some switch in the education. So it's not like if you studied one thing and you need to proceed with it. You have options. And also you can look from in the requirements of the program when you will choose it, and it will give you better understanding what is it good for you or not. So application process, I want to tell you a little bit about it. It's probably not the most exciting part, and where you need to prepare a lot of documents and like make translations, prepare for IELTS, pass exams, make recommendation letters, and so on. But it's like part of the process, and it's like inevitable, and you need to do it. But still, you can have some good moments about it, and you will be happy when you get some achievements when you pass IELTS. So it's not like only hard work and that's it. It's also like some good moments. And for recommendations letter, for example, I want to say that it's not required that you have letters from professors or from your work, but it's also possible that you do it in Uzbek or Russian language, and then you translate it and send it like this with notarized translation. And it's not only required that you have in English. And that's my experience for application, and some maybe advices, like small advices about it. I suggest to maybe study the documents which you need for the program, and once you decide which program you want to go with, on the websites of the programs, you can see what are main documents which they ask. It will you give a time. You can start even studying. They always post like from previous years, so you can have a good understanding what you will need to do. In this way, you can do it in advance. Also, you, for example, can apply for other programs. In my case, I was applying for that. It's a German scholarship, and it was in October. So by the time I applied for Erasmus Mundus program, I had many documents ready by the time. So not all documents, but main documents like core documents, my diploma translated and transcripts. So it was a little bit easier for me. I just studied what additional documents I need, and then I prepared them as well. And you can, if you do it in advance, you have more time to prepare a good CV and motivation letter. So like it's will be good for you, and you won't feel so stressful if you have something beforehand ready, before even application deadline starts. So some of the concerns that many students might have is, which I had, for me personally, when I was maybe applying for the scholarship, you think, oh, the scholarship only for a brilliant student. But for personally, I'm an average student with like a quite big gap between studies. And I can say that it's possible to study. Once you have a strong wish to study and intention, you can do it. It's not only like a brilliant students, Oxford students like this. Just the usual students can also apply who really wants to study. And yeah. So I also was scared, maybe felt anxiety about exams. How would I do? What if I fail? And it's also here is if you will try and work hard during the studying, it's okay, you can do it. Also, maybe some people think will be scholarship enough, because also prices here now a little bit inflation are growing, but for me and for many students, I know that scholarship is enough if you apply for scholarship. And it also depends on lifestyle, of course, of people, but for generally it's enough. And for those who, I know that it's also possible to apply for Erasmus Mundus programs without scholarship. Here you need to consider like have financial support, because like living expenses also quite significant. But you can also go on the websites of the programs. They usually provide the average expenses which you will have, and from this you can have like a good understanding of how much money you will need in case you're applying without scholarship. If you don't have like a solid plan for future thesis work, it's okay. You, for example, in the motivation letter, you can write what you're expecting to do, but it's not required that you had a solid thesis work, like with all descriptions what you're planning to do. For example, now I'm almost finishing the first year, and university where I will do my studying in the second year, they provide me a list of thesis work which I can choose from to talk with professors. So it's okay as well. And dormitories are also good. The living conditions are quite okay for students. So a little bit about visa application here. After you will get accepted, it's the last stage which is required to do is visa application. It's also like a worrying part. You might have some worries about visa. So it's better to start visa application as soon as you get accepted. This way you will have some time in advance. Because in my case, for example, my main university, I forgot to tell that I study in my Erasmus Mundus program. I study in Belgium, in Germany, in Sweden, and main universities in Belgium. So I had to send all, and there is no Belgium embassy in Uzbekistan which provides the visa for students. And I had to send my documents to Moscow, because there is a Belgium embassy in Moscow which considers the students, but at least in my year it was like this. So it takes some time. And also, for example, when I was applying, I had to provide the medical certificate. And in Uzbekistan that year, we didn't have any like accredited medical center which provided medical certificate. So it's also you need to go one of the neighboring countries which has this center. So in my case, I went to Moscow and applied documents and did medical examinations there. But it's also important to study the documents which you need for visa really carefully, because I made one mistake, and I didn't legalize my criminal-free certificate record, and so I had to redo it again and send documents. So it will might take additional time. So that's why it's good to study and do everything in advance if it's possible. So now I want to tell about some positive experience about education. So of course you can get a really good knowledge and education here with the Erasmus Mundus program. You get new perspectives on the things. You see how many things are organized. You can study different new subjects. So it's really good experience. You also meet new friends and people. It's international environment, because Erasmus Mundus programs, they are usually combined of the people from all over the world. And in my case, we also have like a group from people from different countries. So it's good because they also come and they also don't have friends, and you really get along together very fastly. Also, you travel a lot, because in the program you have several universities. You go to live in different places, and you can also have some time to visit countries, neighboring countries, maybe. And there are also during the program different events, activities, maybe summer schools where you go to different countries. So it's really good. It's my like emotions about the studying, and also, of course, there might be some difficulties. Like I said, some programs during application might not accept you at once, but for example, in my group, I have a group mate who applied for the program, for student programs 3 times, and on the third time he got accepted, and now he's studying. So if you really want to do it, just go for it, and with time you can manage. Also, during the studying, you might, I miss family a lot, of course, but for me, it's good that I have brother here, so we are together, we support each other, but also regular phone calls to phone. Now it's good that we have Telegram, WhatsApp, and different social media when we can communicate with our family or parents all the time. So they will also support you, you will support them, and they will miss you a little bit less. So it's really good. And for exams and projects, of course, exams might be hard here, and but it's good also to fear exams, because this will give you will be more determined to will try more. So, and also I want to say that you will not be alone. Professors support you, and also when you do, there are many group projects here, when you do projects with other students, so you are not alone, you work together, and you will support each other, and maybe like this is the main points. And I want to finish by saying that you can do it. Just believe in yourself, and everything will come with time. So that's like my main points of presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Maybe you have some questions which you want to ask.
Well, first of all, thanks a lot for this kind of very informative presentation, because I myself is a bachelor student, and for me, and I'm sure that for my peers, it would be really, really like informational. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad if it will
Now
help.
we have prepared some questions, but you have already answered some of them. And we also like posted an announcement in our channel, like students and public also could give their questions. So we also have questions from there. So let's ask, how did you first become interested in Erasmus Mundus joint master scholarship? Like, how did you first heard about it, and how you found out about it?
Yeah, so for me, like initially I was considering like mainly Germany, but then I realized that I looked around, see that there are many other possibilities, and also my friends, some of the friends which I had, they already studied in Europe, so they brought up this Erasmus Mundus program. And after that, I was going through materials, through the internet. There are many materials where you can see a lot of information about it, and see even some people have blogs, maybe the programs which you like. And there are actually websites where a lot of all the programs of the Erasmus Mundus are listed, from which you can choose. And you can go there and see there are a lot of possibilities, a lot of different programs. I think it's one of the richest on the programs, on the different direction, different universities type of scholarship. So you can see a lot of interesting things for you there.
Thank you. And during your presentation, I have seen that there were some links about programs.
Yeah, I have like the personally which I applied programs here. Yeah, you can see.
So if you like send these links to us, we will later on put this in our YouTube.
Okay. I can also send you like the whole presentation if you want.
Yes, it will be. So you have talked about programs. What about universities? Like, what about the consortium of universities involved in these programs? Where are they located and which universities?
Yeah, so in my case, we have three countries and three universities. First country is Belgium. It's in the Ghent University. It's located in the city of Ghent. Second university is in Sweden. It's in Uppsala city, Uppsala University. And the third one is Freiburg University. It's located in Germany, in city Freiburg. So in my case, all universities have the same names with cities.
Cool. Okay. How did this scholarship like help you to develop your language skills?
First of all, you know, in some of the programs where students will study, universities provide like the language courses. It's first thing, and second of all, there are, for example, now I'm currently in Sweden. I'm studying in Sweden, in Uppsala, and in Sweden they have different government programs where you can learn Swedish language, and it's free. So you can have 2 times a week, 3 hours classes, and it's free. You can study it like any students, foreign student can do it. It's really good. For me personally, I will study the second year. Now I recently decided where I will go, which, for example, because in my case we studied in 3 universities in the first year, and in the second year we need to decide where we want to do our major, which university will be our main university. And so I will go to Belgium. I decided to go to Belgium, and I plan to continue study for Dutch language there. And also with scholarship, you might have some, if you want, you can have like some payable courses as well. Scholarship can help you with it.
Okay, so before applying to this scholarship, did you know any like European languages, or were there any requirements to know European language, or English was enough?
In my case, the program is taught totally in English, so I didn't need to know any other languages except for English. And there was like they put the lowest score for IELTS, if I'm not mistaken, it was 6.5, or I think 6.5, yeah. So this is only requirement for the language. Other than that, no others.
So if someone, for example, knows any European languages, preferences won't be given, right?
I think in motivation letter you can say that you know this language, and when commission will read your motivation letter, it might help you somehow. Also, it might give you some additional score. Yeah.
Okay.
And
thank
also
you.
you can show it in many cases. You also need to send CV. So in CV you can also show this, like that, you know, it's good. I mean, definitely it's good if you know some additional language, and you need to show that you know, for example, Uzbek, Russian, English, so that they see that you want to learn new languages and you are keen on learning languages. It will be, I think, an advantage.
So
Maybe
for you personally, so for you personally, now you are living in your second country, right?
We've already been I've been in Germany for a small period of time, and I've been in Belgium and in Sweden. Now in a month we will also go to Germany, and we will have some summer course there.
So for you, English was enough, right? In
Yes.
living and in studying. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, what about extracurricular activities? In which activities are you involved, and how do you, for example, balance academic requirements with extracurricular activities?
Yeah, for me, we study also. I participate now in one lab to market program. There are many entrepreneurship programs where you can participate with other groups, maybe your classmates. Also, you can apply and develop maybe business idea or something, because my program is connected to raw materials, and we have like different startups developing here systems, and you can participate in different activities. So it's one of which I am participating. But yeah, I think it's good to when you come and start to study, you will see how it is better to organize it. If you have more, sometimes you have a little bit more free time, sometimes less. So depending on this, you can choose. And for example, also there are many different activities that university also provide. And you can maybe have cultural meetings. University make some different gathering for international students, so you will be involved in this all the time. And also, for example, there is also Erasmus Mundus supporting programs. For example, they organized maybe cheap trips to neighboring countries. For example, when I was in Belgium, they also organized some different traveling activities, so you can apply for them. I personally I missed this but some people applied for my group and they travel.
I was actually going to ask about cultural experiences. You have already said it. So it is better, right, for a scholarship holder to show commitment to be active in this kind of extracurricular activities, to be involved in such kind of activities, right?
Yeah, it's always good if you maybe show it some little bit right about it in a motivation letter when you're applying, that you, for example, during study, if you have some activities, you can also say it in your motivation letter. But when you are here, it's yeah, you can decide to have more or less depending on the amount of time amount of free time you have here. You can apply for different activities, yeah, cultural activities and others.
So thank you. There are also some questions from our channel followers.
Okay, sure.
If I'm not mistaken, you said that you had no experience in in the first program in Densis, right?
Yeah.
Energy. So
yeah.
there is question, what are the chances of winning if my job is not in the field that I want to apply? Should master's major to be relevant to work experience?
Personally, I don't know like how it works for all students, but my impression is that, for example, even if you don't have a job which is related to the program which you want to study, you can still show some points where your job experience is relevant. For example, if you communicate with people a lot in your job, but you maybe want to apply now and you had a bachelor in engineering and you want to apply for bachelor engineering master degree, you can say that I currently working with many people, communicating, socializing, and so on. It's just the important thing is to think how you can make it more relevant to your program which you're applying. You need to think what program is expected from you. Think from this point of view and think how is your experience can be relevant to it. But it's not that shouldn't be like directly connected to what you're doing now. For example, I worked in the petroleum industry and I was working in the field, but I also point out some during the writing motivation letter how I can apply maybe the knowledge which I will study for the engineering, maybe the experience that I have, I can apply in the future during the studying. Maybe how I can share what I have, what my knowledge, my experience with other students. So you need to think about it, how it can be better applied. But I believe that all experience that you have is a good. It's just the point how you show it, because it's also experience and it's good to have.
From whom you got your recommendation letters?
From my professor, from my bachelor degree, and also if you are working, for example, also you can have a recommendation letter from your employer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There is also a question, isn't like in the application process, is it important to have your or like own project or ideas to show your leadership, how to make your CV more tasty?
Okay. I think it depends on the program itself. If you're applying for some programs related to leadership, it's of course good to have some, maybe if you have some projects related to leadership, you can show it, and it's good. Of course, it will be good, but it's not always like a requirement that you have some kind of project. Because, for example, in my case, I have students who just finished their who applied for a master's degree in the fourth years of their education of bachelor, so they probably didn't have much of a project. They probably had some experience, maybe some participation in some activities, but I think not all of them had some projects. So it's, yeah, and for CV, I think it's good to also think the important to if you, for example, have a lot of working experience and studying, it's also important not to show everything, because the length of CV is limited, but you maybe can think how this knowledge or the certificates maybe, or something that you have, how it is connected to the program which you are applying. For example, you can have different CVs or different motivation letters for different programs. So you can think how you can, what in your opinion is more important for the people who will decide. So you think about it and put this information like at the top, maybe, of CV. That's like how it might attract the attention of the people who will choose you.
Thank you. When you were applying, was there only one stage, or there was also second stage, the interview stage, or it was only application?
For Erasmus Mundus, for the program which I applied in the Erasmus Mundus, I did. It was only application process, but it was different from for some programs. For example, for dances program, I had to make a short video. I don't remember the length of the how many minutes it was, but you need to make a videos for some programs. For some programs, you just other requirements, but I didn't have, personally, I didn't have like interview part. They just took all my documents, which I sent, and after a short time, they wrote me that, okay, your documents are okay, and now we will consider you for further steps. And that was it. So I didn't do anything until I received the acceptance letter. But it might be different from program to program. I think it's really, you need to look at the programs which you are choosing. Some programs might have interviews and like this. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. The next question, I think, general question, not only about Erasmus. Which EU countries would you think is best to do master's degree?
Yeah, it's interesting question. I mean, it also depends on your priority. Maybe if you like some countries more, or you interested in some cultures specifically. For Erasmus Mundus program, for example, you not choosing one country, but it's more like choosing set of countries, because they kind of come together. So in this case, you will have different programs, but also I suggest maybe to for Erasmus Mundus to pay attention to the programs themselves. How do you like them? Because it's not only the countries which are important, but the program also is like good to, if you like the program, you can consider it. So it's like many things you need to think about, but mainly, for example, I have been in Belgium, Germany, and Sweden, and all three countries' education is quite good. But it's different. For example, if you go here now in Sweden, the education system is quite different from what I have seen in Belgium and Germany. So you will experience different things. So yeah, it's good to, if you're considering some specific countries, you can go maybe through some online information and read what people think about it and choose what you like the most.
Thank you. When the same comes to language, what language would you suggest, for example, to the one who is going to learn European languages? What one language would you suggest so that he can survive in all EU countries, for example?
I think, yeah, let me think about this one. I think because maybe still probably the English is the most widespread language. So but by the meaning when we are applying for Erasmus Mundus, I think most of the programs are taught in English. So at least you will already know one language which you can use. But for example, in some countries, especially in small towns, it might be not so widespread. So there you will need to find the ways how to explain maybe yourself. I had one experience like this, but yeah, so, and also, for example, if you take like a German language, it's similar to Dutch and to other languages, but it's not like if you know German, for example, you still can go around Europe and speak with German everywhere. So it really depends where you're going. But the English, I think, is the most widespread one. And for example, also if you go to France, you might have some problems with English there because not all people speak English there. So yeah, it's not like still, but I think the English, yeah, is the most widespread one. So with this one, you can try to communicate with many people. But if you know some additional language or you want to start to learn it, it will, of course, you might find some places where you will use it. So it will be good for you. And also, maybe if you consider some countries which program you already, for example, you got accepted to some programs, you can just for fun start learning a little bit about the language, or the language, how to say hello, or some basic phrases in this language in the country. So yeah.
Okay, so so you're a scholarship holder, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so is your stipend enough for you, or you work after classes, after studies, and is it allowed to work generally?
Yeah, I think it's also depend on the regulations of the countries. For example, in Belgium, it's allowed to work. In Germany, I think as well. It's 20 hours, but it's limited to 20 hours per week. So it's not always you can work like, and there are also problems sometimes with, for example, it might be harder to get a job in Belgium if you don't know, for example, Dutch or Netherlands language. So it's not all, but for example, some of my group mates, they had a chance to work, some simple work, they did it. Personally, I didn't work yet because I was concentrating more on the study. And for me, the scholarship is enough, and for many, quite many students, it's enough. But if you have time to work, it's also important to keep balance between studying and work. Yeah, but it's possible. I mean, if it's possible to find a job, but it's really depend on the country, and because some countries you don't need to know local language, but in some countries you need to know. Yeah.
So regulations are only about the country, not about the program. Erasmus allows students to work, right?
I haven't heard about limitation let me think about this. Yeah, for what I heard, you can do some work, and they don't, from what I know. But yeah, I haven't heard that there's some limitations. So I think it's possible. But in the countries itself, there are also regulations which you need to learn about.
Okay. There is one question left about application process, about GPA. So should it be excellent? Like, I have also heard that GPA weighs more than motivational essay, right? What about the importance of GPA when applying in the application process?
Personally, I don't know like how judges make their decision, what is more important for them and what is less important. But for example, for me personally, I didn't have all fives. I had four marks during my study. I had many fives, some fours, but still it was, so I got accepted. So I think it's not like you need to have all fives. And also here when you study here in Europe, and it's really hard to get all fives here. So, and many students who also apply for, there are students who apply for scholarship also, they're also from Europe, and they so also don't have all fives. So it's okay to have not to be excellent student, from what I know.
Okay.
And also back to the previous question about the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, I remember one thing that, for example, you can have internship, and some during, there are also like different programs here which provide internship. So some of them which gives you scholarship for internships, you can't have this scholarship. So yeah, so there are might be some limitations which you need to look in.
Thank you. What advice would you give to someone? Like, what would be your best advice to someone who is going to apply, and after your advice, that he can win in this program? What best can you advise?
Let me think about it. I think that maybe the best advice is if you really want to study and really want to go for it, you can do it. It's like there is no, you can achieve your goal. There is nothing that's impossible. Just you need to believe in it, try it, and it's also good to study like in advance what you need to do. This might give you like you will have less headaches when there will be deadlines are coming. So yeah, that's what came to my mind right now. Maybe some other time I would think of something else.
This was best, I would say. So I think we are coming to an end, and let me ask about your future plans. What are your plans for the future? Are you planning to stay in EU, or like are you planning to come back and work here? So what are your plans?
I haven't decided yet. Like now I'm more focused on the studying, but I think maybe it would be really good to have some experience and use the knowledge which I learned here, maybe to stay for a while to use this knowledge and to get a new one. And after that, it will be more efficient to come and to Uzbekistan back and use this knowledge for to continue to and use this knowledge for the work.
Thank you.
And also, I want to say that one more thing. I want to say that what I've learned that there are not so many students from Uzbekistan that apply for Erasmus Mundus scholarship or for Erasmus Mundus program. So if you even go through the website of Erasmus Mundus, they say that for some regions, they can take like only 10% at most, or there are limited numbers that they can take from some regions. So if you apply from Uzbekistan, students have a good chances, also additional chances. I would like additional chances to be selected, because not so many students apply from Uzbekistan. So it's really good that I'm saying that this can be also good for students, for potential students.
They should use their chance.
Yes.
What?
And it would be really good to see more students from Uzbekistan like around. So yeah.
So Atmurat is asking one question. What if, for example, you were accepted in 2 programs at the same time?
Okay, yes. For me, it was the case like this. I was accepted to Syngem and to Promise, and you can choose. For example, sometimes the acceptance period is different from each program, and for example, after you got accepted, they give you some time to decide and to sign contract. So during this time, you can think about it and consider. They give you a deadline for which you should come to decision. And if you have 2 programs, at the same time, you can look at both of them, and decide which you like the most and choose one. But of course, you will need to inform the other programs that you explain why you can participate in it.
So you yourself can choose it, right?
Yes. So for example, if you got accepted to several programs, you can choose, and even if something happens and you can participate, you can like cancel it before they give you this time before the deadline.
Okay. I would also ask at the end if you have any social networks that are open to public, and if you like share like your experiences of your study and of your life, like
I understand.
you can share your social networks also.
I personally don't have any, like I don't do like blogs and don't have it, but I have a LinkedIn account, and where students, for example, can find me. And I also think that it's really good to, for example, there are LinkedIn groups where students of some specific programs are studying. You just type the name of the program, and you can see what groups are created. So there you will be able to find some students who are studying the program right now, and from this you can from them you can ask some suggestions and advices personally. For example, my group mates, they already received like some letters from others potential students, so they ask questions. So it's totally okay to do like this. For example, so if someone is interested, like you can type my name and surname in the LinkedIn, I think you will be able to find me and ask some questions. So if I will be able to help somehow, I will try to do it. So yeah.
Thanks a lot for this. And I think this is the end. We will wait from you the links and the presentation. So thanks a lot for this interview.
You're well welcome.
And I'm sure that it would be really beneficial for all the students that are considering this scholarship.
Yeah, I hope so too. And good luck to all students who will try and will apply for the programs. I wish all the best and good experience. It's worth it.
Thank you. Thank you.